Sorry. Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's doing really good. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm not going to be long winded. I'm going to try. So, there's a lot of things that bother me in the Karen Reed trial. There's a lot of things that bother me about Beverly Cannoni. I'm going to say it again and again, but I knew nothing of this case until I watched the trial. Now, having seen the trial, when I go back and I'm looking, I get this little light bulb that goes on a whole lot. I'm sure a lot of you do. But I also get these irritation, just nudges. And I wanted to share one of the things that grew to irritate me to no end when I started watching the pre-trial motions. As I said, I didn't watch them before the trial. So I didn't know that this woman constantly loves to let us know just what a huge decision maker she is and that she's got the right. So let me share it with you because I'm serious, drives me nuts.
All right. What I will need is exactly what the Commonwealth intends to introduce. I think you've outlined it, and I'm familiar with it. Um, if I admit it, it would certainly be accompanied by very strong curative instructions, which is my right. I've heard argument now. I'm going to think about this and maybe.
It's my right, which it's my right. Did y'all know this is my right? Okay. Now, here's something else that bothers me. I don't believe that I've said this yet. And I just wonder how many other people have wondered it. So I know that watching the trial, I was like in awe that they were able to start talking about this harassment crap because it didn't, I didn't see where it fit in the trial. Um, it had no bearing on the case. Yet the judge, prior to trial ever starting, she felt it belonged in there. And, you know, she wasn't going to tie a witness's hand. In other words, if a witness somehow answered with that or brought it up, she wasn't going to disallow it. My question is, what the hell did it have to do with whether Karen Reed was guilty or innocent? And I'll tell you what, Beverly, you lie when you say you wanted her to have a fair trial because you wanted it to be out in court, somehow insinuating that Karen Reed had anything to do with harassing these sweet witnesses. Why did the defense not turn around and say, what kind of harassment? What was it for? Are you sure that's what it was for? And how was it done? Because Canoni, it's people telling them to tell the truth. The harassment was people telling them to tell the truth. So why couldn't the defense, since you were so hot in them panties of yours to say it could come in, and we all know that Lowley would have let Jen McCabe know how to get it in, You knew it was gonna come in. Get all hot and bothered about it. Just saying, that's all. And Eddie or Jackson should have been able to tear into every one of them poor little witnesses that were being harassed and ask, how are they being harassed? Because the answer is hysterical. If you let it out there, the answer is hysterical. People were telling them to tell the truth. People were telling them that they know that witnesses know what happened, and they know Karen Reed didn't do it. That's the harassment. Harassment. So, uh, you know, if you're stupid enough to let it come in again, if you're panting, if you're just frothing to let it in, number one, it's got nothing to do with whether Karen Reed is guilty or innocent or anybody else in her shoes that you would want to say that should be able to come out. I can start a campaign on my side if I'm for someone. It doesn't mean that someone even knows me. And it really doesn't matter because they weren't harassed. People wanted them to tell the truth. There's a huge difference. Are you people all blind? Or are you just all stupid as hell? Excuse my language. Okay. I think that I'm to the one I need. I hope. Let's see.
Okay.
Her breathing.
All right. So you were both in agreement on what's the defendant's motion to exclude irrelevant and prejudicial evidence regarding alleged harassment and or intimidation of a witness, and the Commonwealth's for different grounds and different scope, actually. Motion to exclude mention of Aiden Kearney, aka Turtle Boy, and his pending criminal charges for witness intimidation. So, though you both agree it's out, that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with you that it should be out. I understand that the nature of the harassment, mindful of the grand jury minutes that I've read, that in response to some of the questions posed by those at the U.S. Attorney's Office, the answers explained away some conduct as a result of the extraordinary harassment witnesses were undergoing. So I'm not sure I agree with you. So go ahead
Extraordinary
and try and
harassment.
persuade me, but what I'm inclined to do is keep it out in the case in chief. But Commonwealth said you told your witnesses not to discuss it. So I'll hear the defendant.
Well, harassment's got nothing to do with the case, though. It doesn't have anything to do with whether she's guilty or innocent. I mean, it's not harassment, but either way you
I guess I
go.
would start, Your Honor, by saying that in order
Gutsy.
for evidence to come in, it has to be elicited by a party. It has to be offered by a party. You're being told that the Commonwealth does not intend to elicit this evidence and that the defense does not intend to elicit this evidence. So I guess the question that I would direct to the court is, do you intend to follow up with questions?
I'm not questioning the jury. It's clear that it may be a response, a natural response by a witness that neither one of you intended to get as a reason for something,
Right.
that I'm not going to sanction the witness because I allowed the Commonwealth's motion.
Sure. So,
Mr. Yannetti,
yes.
so it's clearly you try your case the way you want to try your case, and the Commonwealth decides how they want to do it. But I am not tying the hands of witnesses to natural responses to questions. So I'm taking this under advisement. If you open the door, it comes in.
Oh, I completely understand that, Your Honor. I will say that I think probably, I don't want to speak for Mr. Lally, but I think.
So don't speak for Mr. Lally.
But
I'll hear from him in a minute.
I'll speak for myself then, if
She's
the
so
court
rude.
will allow me, which is that if a witness opens the door to a further explanation of this, that could give rise to both sides
Right.
exploring that, which, I suppose we'll deal with that when it comes
Right.
to it.
The way the motion's written, it would be prohibited, and witnesses, I'm not tying the hands of witnesses to natural answers that are the result of questions asked by counsel.
Right, understood.
Okay? Do you understand that, Mr. Lally?
Oh, absolutely, Your Honor. And
Yeah.
that was not my intent. Is if
How
a
the
question,
motion reads, your motion reads, Mr. Lally.
I understand, but it was more of a notice that the Commonwealth doesn't seek to introduce any evidence of that. But at the same time, obviously, if the truthful and honest answer to a question that's posed of a witness references that, then I think it comes in.
Okay. Why? Once again, somebody explain it to this hard-headed Nana. Let's take Karen Reed's name completely out of this. Okay? We have a person on trial. The person on trial has a group of supporters who believe that the person that's on trial is innocent, and who believe the supporters believe this other group of people knows exactly who killed who. They have the answers. This group of people is going after them, trying to embarrass them and trying to get them to tell the truth. Whatever it takes, just tell the truth. They're not asking them to lie, they're asking them to stop lying. So, but if you're trying to insinuate that Karen Reed's behind it, then you're trying to make the jury dislike Karen Reed for actions of someone else so that they'll have like an attitude towards her, not in a good way. That's how I see this. How else do you see this?
And in addition to that, you never called an investigator to say, hey, I have a copy of a screenshot of a text message conversation that I had with Colin Albert, correct?
No, it wouldn't have been relevant at that time,
Okay.
I believe, because Colin was not at the house and wasn't introduced as being there until later.
So your testimony today is that at no time in the year 2022 did you consider it relevant at all that you had this screenshot of this text conversation, correct?
Correct.
Let's listen to Allie. Hold on. We'll get Allie. Might as well get them both, right? All right, so we get to listen to Allie. Those are the only two that got up there and cried and made a big to-do. And the thing that got me about Allie when she was talking about her harassment was a defense attorney asked her a question. She didn't want to answer that question, so she turned it to this. But this is Lally right here, so let's just let them tell us all about harassment.
What, if anything else, has your family or Colin Albert and his family undergone over the course of pendency of this case?
Objection.
No, the door's been open. I'm allowing it.
Well, basically harassment.
Harassment by who?
Bloggers, people online.
And what, if anything, in relation to Colin Albert being in the house has occurred as far as the harassment that you're talking about?
Can you rephrase?
With reference to what you were talking about as far as the relevancy of Colin Albert being in the house at that time, what, if any, harassment was there in relation to that and in relation to Colin?
Well,
No, go ahead. She can answer.
Colin wasn't at the house, so he's being harassed he was not at the house when John was there, so I drove him home. So people are harassing him saying he was at the house when it's not true.
When you speak about harassment, what specifically type of harassment?
Constant phone calls, emails, awful messages.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Focus on this witness, not Colin Albert at this point.
As far as you and your family, what, if any, type of harassment have you received?
People showing up at our house, people emailing my school, just like a lot of harassment. Can I have a moment, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
And how long period of time has that persisted for?
Very long time.
Have you been to the home, the personal residence of any other police officer involved in this case? Ever?
Yes.
Tell me who?
Kevin Albert.
Who else?
I went to Elizabeth Proctor, the wife of Michael Proctor's house.
Evan Albert.
Who does Elizabeth Proctor live with?
Michael Proctor.
So you actually went to Michael Proctor's personal residence.
Kevin Albert. What is Kevin Albert? Okay, I'm going to have to rewatch the whole thing because I don't remember Kevin Albert being there.
I did, yes.
That was in September of what year?
23. I went
September
over.
23.
Yes.
Why'd you go to Michael Proctor's house in September of 2023?
I met Elizabeth Proctor in approximately July or August of 2023. We are two mothers that are being viciously terrorized and harassed by social media. Things that were stated in this courtroom and allegations that were made have torn our lives upside down. We receive hate letters saying that they
I'm
hope
asking you
things.
why? I know you want to give a narrative.
She gets to answer this.
Oh.
Mr. Jackson, the door's open.
Canoni.
You want
And
to
he
answer the
just-
question why she went to the house as opposed to the narrative behind her motivation.
It sounds to me like she's explaining why she went to the house. The door was open, Mr. Jackson.
Go ahead.
Beverly
We
wanted
receive
that
letters,
so bad.
we receive emails, we receive calls. People drive by our house. There was a rolling rally outside of my house where
Aw.
people just screamed at us. They take pictures of our children. They took a picture of my daughter and put semen on it and said property of some named blogger that I think the defense is very familiar with. So that is why myself and Elizabeth Proctor got together. Michael Proctor was not home. We are two mothers trying to get through the unthinkable together.
So you were upset about the public outrage concerning your family's involvement in the death of John O'Keefe
I was outraged because I am a state witness that is being tortured because of lies.
because of public outrage concerning your family's involvement in the death of a police officer, correct?
No, it's a
Yes.
social media witch hunt.
No.
I see. So you decided that the best way for you to address that angst that you were feeling is to go to the lead investigator's home, personal home, in this case, correct?
I went to visit Elizabeth Proctor.
So
Michael
just-
Proctor was not home.
So just like when you went to when you went to Sergeant Lank's house, and the only person you met with was his wife, when you went to Michael Proctor's house, your claim is the only person you met with was his wife.
I personally did not go to Mike Lanks. It was not Jen going to Michael Lanks. It was Kerry Roberts dropping her daughter off, and I happened to be in the car with her. Elizabeth Proctor, I met with because we couldn't take the torture any longer.
And you were later asked about this unrecorded visit at Trooper Proctor's home by Massachusetts State Police, correct?
Can you remind me?
Sure. Did you have a conversation with a trooper by the name of Tully, who interviewed you specifically about your contact with Michael Proctor?
Could I see the report to refresh my memory?
Oh my
Do you not
gosh.
remember having a conversation with Trooper Tully?
I've had many conversations over the last 2
Trooper
years.
Tully?
Over the last 2 years with a number of troopers.
Okay. All I'm asking you is, do you?
Oh my God.
If you refresh your recollection, I want to know, first of all, do you remember having a conversation about your relationship with Michael and Elizabeth Proctor with Trooper Tully?
I know I had a conversation with a trooper about
Okay,
it.
hold
I don't
on.
remember exactly which.
All right. So I don't care about this. It was the harassment. Beverly just could not wait for that to come out. And I'm going to say it again and again and again. Why? It has nothing to do with Karen Reed. It has no place in this trial. Y'all tried to put so much crap into this trial that really has nothing to do with it. And I'm guessing it's because you had no evidence. But this is ridiculous. But hold on, let me find them more. Because this just really pisses me off. All right, so here's a little bit more of her splaining. Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
Now, as far as you had been asked and you had testified about going over to Trooper Proctor's house to meet with his wife, correct?
Correct.
And you testified about certain incidents of harassment that you had undergone, as well as Mrs. Proctor, is that correct?
Correct.
How long had that been going on at that point?
At that point, it started in April, and now I believe I went over there in September.
And what, if anything, was the frequency of the harassment? Was it sporadic, or how often were you experiencing that?
Daily, sometimes hourly.
And in addition to what you've already testified to, what, if any, other incidents do you recall specifically involving either you or your children or your home?
People come by my house, they take video, they scream. They've gone to my child's sporting events and called me names. They've written letters to my daughter's colleges and said that they shouldn't allow them to play. And then they've attached these horrific articles that have been complete lies about all of us. They send me Facebook messages. They call my phone, home phone and cell phone, all hours of the night. They tell me to kill myself. They tell me I'm a terrible mother. They harass my children. My daughter testified here the other day. We didn't even get out of the building, and people were, saying horrendous things, that she's a liar. Your mother should die. It's just, it's unimaginable what my entire family is going through. I go to the beach, they take pictures, they post it, they threaten that there are eyes everywhere. I'll never be able to live a normal life again. I am a witness. That's all I am. I am not on trial. I am a witness. And these people are terrorizing me.
Stand as to that part. I'll strike that part. Everything else will stand. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Did y'all get that? First of all, let me say I am not, repeat, not someone that feels you should harass anyone. Okay, that's just that's my opinion. Nor do I feel you should go after anyone's children. But the ones that they're going after, or that they're claiming or saying things about, they're trying to get them to tell the truth, because their stories don't add up. It does not make sense. How they're going about it, no. But I'm going to say this again. What does this have to do with Karen Reed and whether or not she backed into Officer John O'Keefe? Would somebody who has legal knowledge tell me why this was allowed into this particular courtroom?